Welcome back to our channel. Today we take a deep dive into the life and legacy of Irene Dunne, a Hollywood legend whose grace, talent, and charm captivated audiences for decades. Known for her unforgettable performances in classics like The Awful Truth and Love Affair, Dunne was more than just a silver screen star. She was a woman of immense depth, resilience, and quiet strength. But even after her passing 34 years ago, whispers and rumors about her life and final years have persisted. Now, the truth behind these speculations has finally been confirmed. Join us as we uncover the remarkable journey of Irene Dunne, the mysteries that surrounded her, and the lasting impact she left on Hollywood and beyond. 1. Childhood Irene Dunne's journey to Hollywood stardom was anything but conventional. Born Irene Marie Dunn in Louisville, Kentucky, she grew up in an environment far removed from the glamour of the silver screen. Her father worked as a steamboat inspector, which meant her childhood was closely tied to the riverboats that traveled the Ohio River. This seemingly ordinary detail would later become a significant part of her life, both in her iconic role in Showboat, 1936, and in real life, when Walt Disney personally chose her to christen the Mark Twain Riverboat at the grand opening of Disneyland in 1955. But before any of that, young Irene was just a girl with big dreams. Dreams that at first had nothing to do with movies. Her mother, a music teacher, recognized her daughter's talent early on and encouraged her to pursue a career in classical music. Dunne trained as a soprano with the goal of becoming an opera singer, enrolling at the Indiana Conservatory of Music. She was talented, disciplined, and passionate, believing that her future lay in the world of grand performances and operatic stages. But fate had other plans. In what must have been a devastating blow at the time, she failed her audition for the Metropolitan Opera in New York, a moment that forced her to rethink her path. It was a turning point. Rather than giving up, she decided to take her vocal skills in a different direction, turning to musical theater, a decision that would ultimately lead her to Hollywood. But success didn't come overnight. Irene Dunne toured with stage productions, building a reputation as a gifted actress and singer. One of her most pivotal performances came in the touring company of Showboat, 1929, where she played Magnolia Hawks. This role, which perfectly combined her musical abilities and acting talent, caught the attention of Hollywood scouts. Soon, she was offered a film contract with RKO Pictures, marking the beginning of an illustrious career that spanned over 2 decades. Dunne's story is one of perseverance, reinvention, and unexpected turns. What started as a dream of being an opera star led her to a completely different kind of stage, one where she would become a legend of Golden Age Hollywood. Her ability to adapt to take setbacks and turn them into opportunities is what made her stand out, not just as an actress, but as a woman who carved out her own path in an industry that wasn't always welcoming to newcomers. And perhaps that's why her performances feel so genuine. She understood struggle, she understood resilience, and she brought those emotions into every role she played. Had she made it as an opera singer, we might never have had Irene Dunne, the Hollywood icon. But as luck would have it, her journey took a different course, one that would cement her as one of the most elegant and versatile actresses of her time. 2. Family. Irene Dunne's journey to Hollywood wouldn't have been possible without the strong foundation set by her family, especially her parents, who shaped both her artistic ambitions and her resilient spirit. Her father worked as a steamboat inspector, which meant Irene spent much of her childhood surrounded by the sights and sounds of riverboats. This early exposure not only gave her a sense of adventure, but also unknowingly connected her to a future cinematic milestone, her iconic role as Magnolia Hawks in Showboat 1936, a film that revolved around life on the Mississippi River. It was almost as if destiny had subtly prepared her for the part long before she even stepped into Hollywood, but it was her mother, a music teacher, who played the most direct role in shaping Irene's artistic talents. Recognizing her daughter's natural musical ability, she made sure Irene received the best training possible, encouraging her to pursue classical music from a young age. In a time when women's careers were often limited, her mother instilled in her a belief that she could achieve greatness beyond societal expectations. She didn't just teach Irene music, she taught her discipline, passion, and the importance of hard work, values that would stay with her throughout her life. However, Irene's early life wasn't without hardship. When she was just 14 years old, her father passed away, leaving her mother to raise the family alone. This tragedy forced Irene to grow up quickly, but it also strengthened the bond between her and her mother. Together they moved to Madison, Indiana, where her mother took up teaching music to support the family. This period of Irene's life was pivotal. Not only did it teach her resilience, but it also deepened her connection to music, as she often helped her mother with lessons and performances. Her mother's unwavering support and sacrifices fueled Irene's ambition. When it became clear that Irene had real potential as a singer, her mother made the bold decision to send her to the Indiana Conservatory of Music, ensuring she had the proper education to pursue a professional career. This was a significant step, especially at a time when women's futures were often dictated by marriage rather than career aspirations. But Irene's mother believed in her talent and never wavered in her support. Looking back, it's clear that both of her parents had a profound impact on the woman she became. From her father, she inherited a spirit of adventure and a connection to the riverboats that would later define one of her most famous roles. From her mother, she gained the foundation of her musical talent, her discipline, and her unwavering determination to succeed. Though Irene Dunne would go on to become one of Hollywood's most beloved actresses, her roots remained deeply tied to the lessons and love she received from her family, a testament to the idea that behind every great artist, there is often an even greater source of inspiration at home. 3. Career. Irene Dunne's career was a masterclass in reinvention, resilience, and sheer talent. Unlike many of her peers who entered Hollywood through modeling or direct casting calls, Irene's path to stardom was far more unexpected. She wasn't chasing fame. Fame found her. Initially, she had her sights set on a career in opera, training as a soprano with hopes of performing on the grandest stages. But after failing her Metropolitan Opera audition, a moment that could have ended her artistic ambitions, she instead pivoted towards musical theater, a decision that would shape the rest of her life. It was during a touring production of Showboat in 1929 that Hollywood took notice. Studio executives were captivated not just by her graceful stage presence, but by something rarer, a woman with both a refined acting ability and an exceptional singing voice. That was enough to secure her a film contract, marking the beginning of an illustrious career that would span over 3 decades. From the very start, Irene Dunne proved to be an actress unlike any other. While many stars of the era were typecast into a specific genre, Irene thrived on versatility. Whether it was heartfelt melodramas, sharp-witted screwball comedies, or grand Technicolor productions, she navigated every role with elegance and authenticity. One of her earliest career-defining moments came with Cimarron, 1931, where she played a strong-willed pioneer woman in a sweeping Western epic. The film went on to win the Academy Award for Best Picture, instantly putting her in the Hollywood spotlight. But Irene wasn't content with being just another dramatic actress. She wanted to push boundaries. She shocked audiences and critics alike when she displayed an entirely different side of herself in screwball comedies, a genre that required perfect timing, quick wit, and impeccable chemistry with her co-stars. And speaking of chemistry, no one paired better with Cary Grant than Irene Dunne. Together, they created some of the most iconic romantic comedies of all time, including The Awful Truth, 1937, My Favorite Wife, 1940, and Penny Serenade, 1941. Their electric dynamic, filled with rapid-fire dialogue, comedic misunderstandings, and undeniable charm, helped define what a romantic comedy should be. The Awful Truth is often credited with redefining the genre, blending romance with intelligent humor in a way that felt effortless. It's no wonder the film won Best Director at the Academy Awards, and Dunne herself received one of her 5 Oscar nominations for it. But if there was one film that truly encapsulated who Irene Dunne was as a performer, it had to be Showboat, 1936. In many ways, it was a full-circle moment. The very production that led her to Hollywood was now cementing her as a major star. Her role as Magnolia Hawks, a woman whose life unfolds against the backdrop of a Mississippi riverboat, allowed her to blend acting, singing, and emotional depth seamlessly. It became one of the defining films of her career and remains a gold standard for musical adaptations. Beyond her on-screen success, Irene Dunne also made significant contributions behind the scenes. At a time when Hollywood was still overwhelmingly male-dominated, she broke barriers by becoming one of the first women elected to Technicolor's board of directors in 1965. This was a groundbreaking achievement, not just for her, but for women in the industry, proving that her influence extended far beyond just performing. She was also honored with a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in 1960, a testament to her lasting impact on cinema. But perhaps what made Irene Dunne truly remarkable was that she walked away from Hollywood on her own terms. Unlike many stars who struggled to maintain relevance or clung to the industry out of necessity, she gracefully retired at the peak of her career, choosing to focus on philanthropy, family, and faith. She had nothing left to prove. Her legacy was already secured. Today, when we talk about Hollywood's golden age, Irene Dunne's name stands tall among the greats. She was a performer who never relied on scandal or controversy to stay in the spotlight, a woman who transitioned from opera dreams to cinematic greatness with elegance and determination. Whether making audiences laugh with witty one-liners, moving them to tears in heartfelt dramas, or mesmerizing them with her stunning vocal performances, Irene Dunne remains a true icon, a star who never faded, only shined brighter with time. 4. Scandal. One of the most fascinating things about Irene Dunne's career is that despite being one of the most accomplished actresses of Hollywood's golden age, she managed to navigate the industry without a single scandal. In an era where many stars were caught up in controversies, feuds, or personal drama, Dunne stood apart as a class act, maintaining a pristine reputation both on and off the screen. She wasn't one to chase headlines or engage in Hollywood gossip. She let her work speak for itself. But while she avoided personal scandals, there was still one controversy that continues to baffle film historians and fans alike: her Oscar snubs. Throughout her career, Irene Dunne was nominated 5 times for Best Actress, a feat that many would consider an achievement in itself. But despite delivering some of the most critically acclaimed performances of her time, she never took home the coveted gold statuette. Her nominations included Cimarron, 1931, a sweeping Western epic where she played a pioneering woman adjusting to the hardships of frontier life; Theodora Goes Wild, 1936, a bold and unconventional screwball comedy where she showcased impeccable comedic timing; The Awful Truth, 1937, one of the most beloved romantic comedies ever made, co-starring Cary Grant. Love Affair, 1939, a heart-wrenching drama that later inspired the remake, An Affair to Remember. I Remember Mama, 1948, a deeply emotional family film where she played a Norwegian immigrant mother. Each of these films demonstrated her extraordinary range, from comedy to drama, romance to tragedy. Yet year after year, she watched the Oscar go to someone else. While other actresses of her era, like Katharine Hepburn and Bette Davis, were frequently celebrated by the Academy, Dunne remained shockingly overlooked. Many in the industry assumed that, even if she never won a competitive Oscar, she would eventually receive an honorary Academy Award for her contributions to cinema. But surprisingly, that never happened. This omission remains one of the great mysteries of Hollywood history. Even decades later, film historians and fans continue to debate why the Academy never honored her. Some speculate that it was because she made success look too effortless, while others believe that her ability to move seamlessly between comedy and drama made it difficult for voters to categorize her. There's even the theory that because she retired from acting on her own terms, the Academy simply forgot to recognize her when it mattered. Whatever the reason, it was an undeniable oversight, one that has only become more glaring as time has passed. But in true Irene Dunne fashion, she never publicly complained. In interviews, she often joked about her runner-up status, saying, "It's better to be nominated 5 times and not win than to be nominated once and win." That kind of grace and humility is exactly what set her apart from so many of her peers. Instead of focusing on awards, she focused on creating films that stood the test of time, and in that regard, she succeeded brilliantly. 5. Marriage. Irene Dunne's personal life was just as graceful and dignified as her on-screen presence. In an era when Hollywood marriages were often short-lived and scandalous, Dunne's relationship with her husband, Dr. Frank Griffin, stood out as a rare example of stability and devotion. Griffin, a respected dentist, had no connection to the film industry, which may have been the secret to their long-lasting marriage. Unlike many actresses who married fellow stars and lived under the constant scrutiny of the press, Irene chose a life away from the chaos of Hollywood when it came to her personal relationships. Despite her fame, she and her husband maintained a private, grounded life, free from the controversies and dramatic breakups that plagued many of her peers. Their marriage, built on mutual respect and deep companionship, remained strong until Frank Griffin's passing. Though many widowed actresses of the time remarried or sought new companionship, Dunne never did. She had found her one great love, and after losing him, she chose to dedicate herself to family, philanthropy, and faith rather than seeking another romantic partner. Her decision not to remarry wasn't out of loneliness, but rather a testament to the deep bond she shared with Griffin, a love that in her eyes didn't need to be replaced. One of the most significant and heartfelt decisions in her life came in 1938, when she and Frank adopted their only child, Mary Frances. The adoption was arranged through the New York Foundling Hospital, a well-respected Catholic orphanage that specialized in placing children into loving homes. At the time, adoption, especially among Hollywood stars, was not as common or openly discussed as it is today. But for Dunne, motherhood was never about biological ties. It was about love and commitment. She embraced Mary Frances wholeheartedly, raising her with the same values of faith, kindness, and humility that had guided her own life. Despite the demands of her film career, Dunne was a deeply involved mother. Unlike many Hollywood stars who left the bulk of child-rearing to nannies, she made it a point to balance her work with her responsibilities at home. She wasn't the type to let fame dictate her role as a parent. When she wasn't on set, she was a hands-on, devoted mother, ensuring that Mary Frances had as normal an upbringing as possible. This commitment to family was something that defined Dunne not just as a person, but as a Hollywood rarity, a woman who never let the industry consume her identity. Her marriage and motherhood choices also reflected a larger philosophy that set her apart from many of her contemporaries. While others in Hollywood were chasing headlines, status, and fleeting romances, Dunne prioritized meaningful relationships, stability, and a deep sense of personal integrity. This is why, even after she stepped away from Hollywood, she remained beloved and respected, not just as an actress, but as a woman who lived her life with purpose and grace. 6. Other relationships. Beyond her remarkable career and private scandal-free life, Irene Dunne cultivated deep and lasting friendships within Hollywood's elite. Unlike many stars of her era who engaged in fierce rivalries and competitive feuds, Dunne was known for her warmth, generosity, and ability to form genuine connections. She wasn't just admired for her talent, she was deeply respected as a kind, intelligent, and gracious woman who valued personal relationships as much as professional success. One of her closest friendships was with Loretta Young, a fellow actress known for her elegance and strong Catholic faith. Their bond extended beyond Hollywood's film sets. They were part of a tight-knit circle of women, affectionately known as Loretta Young's Girls Club. This exclusive group included Anita Louise and Loretta's sisters, and they met weekly, not just for glamorous social gatherings, but as a way to support and uplift each other in an industry that often placed enormous pressure on women. In a time when female friendships in Hollywood were often depicted as rife with jealousy and competition, Dunne and her circle proved otherwise. Their genuine camaraderie was a refreshing contrast to the usual starlet rivalries, showing that strong, independent women could cheer for each other's success rather than compete for the spotlight. Beyond Young, Dunne was also highly regarded by many of Hollywood's most legendary figures. She formed lasting friendships with stars like Bob Hope, James Stewart, Ricardo Montalban, Roddy McDowell, and Cesar Romero, all of whom spoke highly of her wit, charm, and down-to-earth nature. She was the kind of person who could command a room without demanding attention, someone whose presence was always felt but never overshadowed others. This ability to connect effortlessly with people made her one of the most beloved figures in classic Hollywood, not just as an actress, but as a friend and confidant. And of course, when discussing Irene Dunne's most iconic professional partnerships, one name stands out above all others: Cary Grant. Their on-screen chemistry was pure magic, setting the gold standard for romantic comedies. Together, they starred in The Awful Truth, 1937, My Favorite Wife, 1940, and Penny Serenade, 1941. Creating some of the most memorable and beloved romantic pairings in Hollywood history. Their playful banter, effortless timing, and undeniable charm made their films instant classics, influencing countless romantic comedies that followed. While Grant would go on to have legendary partnerships with other leading ladies, his collaborations with Dunne remain among his most celebrated, proving that their dynamic was something truly special. But Irene Dunne's influence wasn't limited to the silver screen. She was also recognized for her contributions beyond acting, receiving unique honors that cemented her place in American cultural history. One of the most special moments came in 1955 when she was personally chosen by Walt Disney to christen the Mark Twain Riverboat at Disneyland's grand opening. This was no random selection. Disney saw Dunne as the perfect symbol of elegance, grace, and classic Americana. Her early childhood memories of steamboats in Kentucky combined with her iconic role in Showboat, 1936, made her the ideal choice for this historic occasion. As she stood before the gleaming riverboat, smashing the traditional champagne bottle against its bow, she wasn't just launching a ride, she was becoming part of a cultural legacy that would be remembered for generations. 7. Death. In her final years, Irene Dunne chose a life of quiet seclusion, a stark contrast to the glitz and glamour that had once defined her time in Hollywood. Unlike many aging stars who sought to extend their fame through tell-all interviews or late career appearances, Dunne deliberately stepped away from the public eye, refusing interviews and declining invitations to industry events. She had always been a woman of grace, dignity, and discretion, and she saw no need to chase the spotlight once her time on screen had passed. Instead, she focused on her faith, philanthropy, and personal life, spending her days away from Hollywood's relentless gaze. However, her later years were not without hardship. As she aged, Dunne suffered from near blindness and dementia, conditions that slowly robbed her of the sharp wit and keen intelligence that had defined her for so long. It was a tragic irony. An actress who had once captivated audiences with her expressive eyes and nuanced performances was now losing her ability to see the world around her, yet even as her health declined, she remained surrounded by love, cared for by those who had been closest to her throughout her life. On September 4th, 1982, Irene Dunne passed away at the age of 80 due to bronchopneumonia, marking the end of an era. In keeping with the elegance and thoughtfulness that had defined her life, she had made one final request: to be buried beside her beloved friend, Irving Thalberg, the legendary MGM producer who had helped shape Hollywood's golden age. It was a fitting tribute to a woman who had built her career on integrity, talent, and an unwavering sense of purpose. Yet, even in death, Irene Dunne's legacy continued to grow. Though she had never won an Academy Award, her influence on cinema remained undeniable. In 1960, she received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, a testament to her enduring impact. But perhaps the greatest revival of her career came decades later through Turner Classic Movies, TCM. As TCM reintroduced audiences to her films, a new generation discovered the brilliance of her comedic timing, dramatic depth, and timeless elegance. Critics and film lovers alike began to reevaluate her contributions, solidifying her status as one of Hollywood's greatest actresses, not just of her time, but of all time. In the end, Irene Dunne's story is not one of fading into obscurity, but of a legacy that refuses to be forgotten. She was more than a movie star. She was a symbol of class, intelligence, and artistic integrity, a woman who never needed controversy to stay relevant, nor awards to prove her worth. Today, her films continue to shine, her performances remain unmatched, and her presence in Hollywood's history is as indelible as ever. Irene Dunne's legacy remains as radiant as ever, a testament to her enduring talent and the grace with which she carried herself both on and off the screen. While time may pass, the mark she left on Hollywood and in the hearts of her fans will never fade. What do you think about the new revelation surrounding her life? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more stories about the legends of the past. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.